exact words were, you wake up, you're homeless, you're starting from scratch, what's your move?
Shit.
That's probably what I would say as well.
Oh, shit. Am I me? Have I just woken up tomorrow and this is what's happened?
I think it's the assumption that your whole normal life is behind and gone. I assume you're not just like homeless, but like everyone else still knows you. I'm going to guess it's like a fresh start kind of.
Right, okay.
Otherwise it'd be a bit weird. The family's like, where are you? You know?
I guess the first thing I'd do is find shelter or somewhere to be and sleep. And then I guess do what you see homeless people doing, ask for help and go to food banks or anything and ask for help. That's all I can think to do. That's what I'd do.
That's way more practical than I was expecting. I was expecting some crazy. Like, yeah, I don't know, because yeah, it's rather open ended, isn't it? Like what? It's like what's your move? I guess. Well, how many moves do I have? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, find shelter and ask for help from as many people as possible, which is what homeless people do.
Yeah, I suppose so. You really nailed that one, to be fair. I wasn't sure if you're going to go like all deep and philosophical with it. I was like, you could do that. But
yeah, I would like to be philosophical, but I'm not. So I always do try and help homeless people. But there's our local supermarket. There's always a few people there. And I always ask them, I don't have any change because I don't carry cash. I said, I'm going in, can I get you anything? And they always just say, oh, a pint of milk or something. So I just do something.
It's tricky when cash is kind of being phased out to a large degree. You know, it's all just on card now, isn't it? I rarely actually honestly have cash. You know,
no, I don't like carrying it. It's just cumbersome. I just don't like it. Especially coins.
Oh yeah, they're so annoying. Although I discovered way too late that the machines, the self-service machines, I didn't realize you can just put all of your coins in and then just pay the rest off on your card. It took me so long to figure that out.
I didn't realize that until this week.
By this week, do you mean right now, or?
Well, like yesterday.
It's a weird coincidence, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, you can do that. Although I finally got caught not paying for bags the other day. The guy was like, you have to pay for them. I'm like, oh. Yeah.
I rather stubbornly just carry all my stuff out in like my arms. Just so I think
I feel a small sense of rebellion not paying for the bag.
Yeah,
I enjoy kind of. And then the guy stopped me. He's like, you got to pay for that next time. I'm like, why do you care? Like, I don't know. It's the rubbish co-op bags that just feel disgusting and they fall apart anyway.
So it's like, fuck you, I'm not paying, but fuck the environment too, so I'm having the bag.
Well, it's like I was going to have the bag anyway, and I think co-op should shoulder that burden, not me. There is actually a thought process behind that. Tax the rich and all that, I don't know. So yeah, and weirdly enough, actually, there's it's kind of a somewhat small world moment, because it's such a pathetic attempt at a small world moment. I believe with my old band, before COVID, you guys were due to play in Birmingham for the Metal to the Masses final, I think.
Yes, that rings a bell. Yeah.
My band was going to play that gig, but we did end up playing Bloodstock 21. So there is an actual small world moment, but
wait, I don't have any time. What band do you play for?
Oh no, sorry. I used to play in a band called Insurgent. I don't play in the band anymore. No, that wasn't me. That wasn't like a name drop or
Oh, I know.
It's a massive band, and you've just been totally like,
oh shit,
floored. Like I did not prepare for this. Yeah, no, just a small band. I've had much better small world moments, I have to confess, but that's my best attempt at one. But something I when I was sort of doing a browse of just you and your sort of online presence and finding out about you and stuff, it sort of had a look at your Twitch, and I'm always intrigued by Twitch and the kind of that sort of, I don't want to call it a movement, but like the development of that and the community around that. I've done a bit of it myself, and I'm a bit torn as to how I feel about it, because I think it's a really cool platform because it can monetize your time. And this is getting very business straight away, but like it can kind of monetize your time really effectively. Where, so for example, with this podcast, I've tried it on Twitch, but it's a bit glitchy and stuff. But obviously, I have to go back and edit it and to put it out. And if I used to try and do YouTube videos and stuff, and again, got to edit them. And I found myself editing more than playing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's timed. It's not time.
Yeah. Whereas with Twitch, like it's all up. The whole point is that you're there. You if you have a sip of coffee or you mess something up or whatever, people are just there because you're there and they want to be part of that. But on the other hand, I feel like if I sit down and try and write a song on Twitch, I'm so distracted. What's your kind of relationship with Twitch like?
Before I forget, it's too hard to write on Twitch. I've done it before. I tried writing solos and stuff, but because you're interacting with people, I just can't do it. Like I need to be completely on my own to do stuff like that. So it's definitely a mental block if people are like watching. But my relationship with Twitch was Matt Hafey. Is it Hafey?
I believe it's Hafey.
Hafey. I was right. Cool.
Yeah.
I saw that he was on Twitch and like doing really well, so I downloaded it. I watched him a few times, and I just thought that's cool. I didn't really understand. I didn't get what it was. So a friend of mine explained it to me, and they said, "Well, basically, you can play, and people pay you money." It's like, okay, that sounds worth a try. Yeah, getting paid for music, that's weird. So I just had a go, and a friend helped me set it up, and I was really awkward and weird about it. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I just dived in, played requests, and that's literally all I do. Really, I just play requests because I have an annoying skill where I can figure out music as I hear it. So if I hear a tune, I won't know what key it's in, but I'll know, okay, that's the root note, and then figure the rest out. So on my Twitch, you can request any song in the world from any genre, and I will play it and learn it as it's playing, unless it's, like Suffocation. There's like no, I can't learn that. So, but yeah, it's fun. I just like to have fun in it. I just don't have a lot of time at the moment because writing the new Evile album and 2 kids, working full time, everything else. So at the moment, I'm on kind of like a hiatus from Twitch, but I'm hoping to get back onto it soon.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's funny you mentioned when you're talking about figuring out the songs from scratch, because I took on a new. So I teach guitar. That's my main sort of job. I took on a new student the other day, and she was quite sort of astounded that there was like I think it was like a Jason Mraz song she asked me about or something. Pretty simple 4-chord kind of formula. It was like A, E, F sharp minor, and a D, I think, from memory. Just none of those chords working, But she was obviously she was kind of a bit like, how do you do that? And it's like, obviously to other guitarists, that's not so amazing. But I remember I was quite sort of impressed with how you kind of figured out, I think it was an Annihilator song that I was just looking at that you'd put on your YouTube as well. It's quite cool. I feel like that's maybe a way you can be more productive, where you can, in those times where you feel like you don't need the creative brain, where you need the more figuring out kind of brain, I feel like you can allow people to be part of that, and it's almost maybe a bit more entertaining as well. But there's something about the creative process. Like I said, I've tried to do it in the presence of others, and I think even if I don't feel too nervous, it still messes with my flow.
Yeah, I do agree. It's something like, I think the inception of something is a good group effort. Like when we're in the rehearsal room and we play a riff and we play it together, it's like, oh, that's cool. I'll take that away and work on it, because like some songs that Evile have done, I've spent like 6 to 8 months on one song and just keep going back to it, and there's like 20 different versions before it's finished. And like right now I'm writing the new album and I'm on version 16 of one song, and I just keep going back to it, listening to it in my car, and I'll be like, why don't I like this? What's wrong with it? So like the 5th listen through, I'll be like, there it is, that needs to get deleted. And that's all I do. Just keep listening.
Yeah, it's I think there's there's a thing among creatives, certainly music. I haven't maybe experienced it with other like creative outlets, but this idea of like the first iteration being the one, you know, this idea of like creativity is just this spark, and it's just like, you know, there we have it. And sometimes, you know, you have those days where you write a riff and it all just falls out onto the page or onto, you know, Logic Pro or whatever it is, your sort of thing of choices. But I think that people maybe don't appreciate the fact that, and I think it's to the detriment of a lot of musicians, maybe they don't appreciate the fact that you don't have to get it right first time. Sometimes figuring it out is the way you're going to have to do it. And I was saying this to a student today, actually. I was like, you're much better off being good at revising an idea, like revising a crap idea, than trying to come up with a great one in the first place. That's my opinion anyway. Obviously, it's great if you can just have brilliance fall out of your brain, but
it's the same with authors. They write the first draft and then they go through and they edit the first draft to be the second draft, and then they build. It's the same with I know Beethoven used to write like his famous is it the Fifth Symphony? He had so many versions of that until he was happy with it. So he was constantly editing all the time. So I think it's worth spending time on something, unless you get really lucky and it's like a instant song and you're finished, you know.
He sounds I might have him on the podcast. He sounds interesting.
cool guy.
Yeah, sounds like he might have a bright future. I one thing I was interested to ask you is about with the whole writing side of things. What obviously you kind of, metal is a lot of the stuff I'm exposed to, at least. I suppose it depends what you listen to. Is kind of it's taking in a lot of influence from other genres and things like that, and sometimes that's to the benefit of it, and sometimes I feel like it just feels a little bit confused and a bit maybe doesn't know what it's trying to do. I'm not going to name any names, but like, you know, I do feel like that happens in some instances. Obviously, listening to Evile, there's a much more kind of old school thrash feel straight out the gate. But how do you kind of keep it fresh and interesting while keeping that kind of, I don't want to just call it old school, but like sort of staying true to your roots to a certain extent? How do you kind of balance that?
I think because I'm so used to doing it, even in the old stuff, we only did it if we enjoyed it. So if whatever we played or recorded, we liked it, it made it. But if we didn't like it, we didn't do it. So it's not like a formula where we'd be like, no, that doesn't sound like Evile or anything. It's just we do it until we like it. So like on the new stuff we're doing now, there's stuff on there that I know some people be like, that's Evile. Don't do that. That doesn't sound like Evile, but we enjoy it and we've recorded it and gone, that sounds great. So we pull a lot of influences from other genres. Like for me, the older I've gotten to metal, because it's kind of like my work, because I spend so much time writing it, I don't really want to listen to it because it's just an overload. So I listen to a lot of stuff like old prog, like Gentle Giant and Yes, but then also like Frank Sinatra and Miles Davis. And I noticed some things in their music that I can kind of adapt into metal, like structures or approaches. Like there'll be this part and then it will stop dead, and then this new idea. It's like I could easily adapt that into metal, and it's just experimenting, really. There's only so many times you can go intro riff, drums come in, verse, chorus, solo, verse, chorus, bridge, outro. It's like it just gets a bit like just dull. So I think it's subconsciously listening into other things where something will spark and think, "Ooh, that's cool." Like even something as stupid as like, I'm not saying I've done this, but Backstreet Boys or music like that, you'll hear like, why has that not been done in a metal song? And I don't mean the musical content, I mean the approach to the structure and stuff. So I'm always just listening to music and any kind of music for ideas.
Yeah, sometimes you just hear a song and you just kind of think like, I want it that way, and you just kind of. I wanted to see if I could say that with a straight face and see if it would just like fly by.
This interview is over.
I wanted to see if I could say it and then like just keep talking, but I couldn't. Yeah. Speak. I was about to say. I was about to sort of try and tie that with, because I noticed and there's something I have to get you to sort of validate. I don't know if you've seen those like Wikipedia fact or fiction things that they do.
Oh yeah, I love them. Yeah.
I was looking at your Wikipedia and there's a bit about Tim Minchin.
Oh yes, yeah.
Could you maybe just sort of confirm? Because what's exactly is your relation? That's not relation, but kind of involvement with it.
So he was playing a Sonisphere festival in like 2010, I want to say, and our manager at the time was Julie Weir, who works for Music for Nations now.
I've met her once.
Yeah, she's really nice. Yeah. She's great. She was at an after party or something somewhere, and Tim Minchin was there, and I can't remember the story, but she somehow dropped my name saying, "Oh, Evile are playing," and he said, "Oh, I'm looking for a guitarist to play this rock and roll nerd with me." So he then posted on Twitter saying, "Are there any rock guitarists playing Sonisphere that could play this song?" And then a few of my fans commented saying, "Yeah, get off from Evile." And then the next thing I knew, we got to Sonisphere, and our booking agent said, "Right, you've got to learn this song in a few hours and then get up and play with him." So I listened to the song on my phone and just got the structure and figured out what key it's in. And then I met him and we did like an air rehearsal. So there's a picture somewhere of me and him, like I'm doing this and he's going like that with the piano. And we're just like doing that with each other. And then we just had food together, and then I was on stage, and then he was like calling me on, and then it happened, and it's just all of a sudden. But it was really weird. He's a really nice guy, and I think that the first thing he said to me, I went into this dressing room with my guitar, and he said like, "Do you know Stairway to Heaven, or is that a stupid question?" It's like, I know Stairway to Heaven. There's one part in the song that is Stairway to Heaven, and yeah, it was just a surreal, bizarre experience, but very cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love his just his whole style, and he's such a talented like songwriter. I mean, above and beyond the fact they're really funny and witty songs, like they're really catchy. That that's what's it, the song where he sings F sharp. The one where it's all in the key of F, but he sings in F sharp.
Oh, I've not heard that. That sounds amazing.
It's amazing. There's this big lead up. It's all this big build up about how he likes to play in F, but he sings in F sharp, and then
brilliant,
a nasty high note kind of thing.
Brilliant.
I was actually gonna say, because I mean, having sort of browsed your sort of Instagram and all that, I've seen you certainly like to post the odd sort of silly image or picture or whatever, and I feel like there's a sort of a tie in some ways in between comedy and music, and I think the kind of, I feel like there's some sort of thing in common between a comedian's brain and a musician's brain, and the thing that I personally I would struggle to do is I find it difficult enough if someone asks me about lyrics or something. I'm like, oh, it's it's about this personal thing or this, that, and the other. But to go on stage and like share your opinion, because although a joke isn't always your opinion, it's based on how you think about things, and then to have that just like you have to be booed or heckled or whatever. Like if you get a song heckled, and it's even if it's just a really shit song, at least like you wrote a bad song, whatever. Like but like being heckled for like a thing that for me that's worse. I'd be far more nervous to be heckled for a bad joke than a bad song. I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah, I have told jokes on stage. I don't think I've been booed or heckled, but they've been like But I don't remember ever getting booed musically. Maybe that's because we put so much work into our songs. I don't know. But Yeah, no, but being heckled, it's not something I've had done to me, but I imagine it is quite bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want it. Yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, there was who was I seeing? I think it was the Specials. And he is it the Special? I can't remember. I was about to say they've got songs like, and I remember the whole point is I was actually there and I had no idea what their songs are until I heard them, kind of thing. But he was like, it was quite funny because he was about to start telling a joke, and then and then a fight broke out. But I don't know whether because this joke started, he went something like a little Jewish boy, and that was the beginning of the joke, and then a fight broke out in front of them. It's like, have you just been saved from getting like cancelled from an offensive joke? So yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes maybe musicians ought to. What's your opinion on sort of the ones that particularly political musicians who kind of political between songs in live?
I think it's not a rule that we have, but we don't go into politics. We don't, we not that we want to stay neutral. It's just that I don't think anyone gives a shit what I think about politically. Like I'm allowed my opinion. I'm allowed to vote, but me saying my 2 cents on my opinion politically, I don't think will make any difference to anyone. So I keep that to myself. And politics is a very, very high intensity topic at the moment. And I think it's getting more intense as the years go on. And it's just not something I want to put out there because it's so volatile a subject now that if you're left wing, all the right wings go, if you're right wing, all the left wing go, if you're central, it's like, well, it's just,
a bit of both. Yeah.
I genuinely don't care because I don't trust any of them. But that's all I'd ever say because it never gets better. It always gets worse.
Well, we've got the podcast tagline now.
Oh no! Don't quote me on that. I have a tendency to say things and then it becomes the headline of things. And I go, I did one interview with I think it was Guitar World magazine, like a pretty really good interview. And I was joking with the interviewer. He was asking me about thrash and like staying thrash, and I joked like, no one wants to hear us progress. They only want to hear Slayer, as a joke. And then it came out, and in big letters, it was like, no one wants to hear us regress. They just want to hear Slayer. I was like, fuck's sake, I didn't mean it seriously.
Well, you've just said it again, so...
oh, no.
I can add the old no on the end if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird, actually kind of weirdly going back to that, joking aside about the sort of no one wants to see us progress, but do you feel like there's anything that like maybe modern bands are kind of missing that maybe they could take from some of the old school, like Slayer, someone like Slayer?
I'm not sure because
questions that I have no idea how I'd answer them myself, for the record.
Thanks.
No point.
I think one thing, I don't know because I'm not an expert, and a lot of newer bands have sounds that I would never have been able to figure out how to do. Like as a band called, I don't know how to say it, Harriet.
Oh yeah.
Really heavy, deep, but really cool at the same time. And I would never have thought to be able to do that kind of music. So a lot of the modern bands, I feel so old right now. A lot of the modern bands have a really unique sound now. But the only thing I'd say to attribute to the older stuff is just to stay true to why you do it and what you do. Like, don't go and do like Cold Lake that Celtic Frost did and completely go glam metal for no reason. Just stay true, I guess. And I think people know anyway. Fans know if you're suddenly not true to what the music you're doing, they'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? So I can't fully answer that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, actually, funnily enough, speaking of comedians again, do you know Bo Burnham?
I know the name. Yeah,
He's quite young. I don't think he's much older than I am. I think maybe he's sort of early 30s, perhaps. I don't know, but he sort of jokes, although he kind of makes a semi-serious point. He's like, if I stop being funny, just stop being like my fan, basically. And and it's a weird one with music because I think people become very attached to it, and obviously then bands go and change their kind of sound, which obviously they're allowed to do. It's a tricky situation where like you want to allow bands to do their thing, but you want to. Do you ever are you ever afraid of like changing your sound, kind of for fear of, not, like you said even earlier about how people might hear some of the new stuff and then kind of think, oh, that's not what you guys do.
Well, it's not even a change of sound. Like, I personally would never want Evile to have a sound that isn't Evile. Like, I really admire Metallica for what they did, A, going to the Black Album, and B, going to Load, because if they would have done another Justice followed by another Justice, nothing would have happened. If they'd have done another Black Album after the Black Album, nothing would have happened. But the fact that they went so far off the wall, I think it made them more popular to have such a diverse pool of music and tempos and genres and sounds that they can play like a Load song now live and everyone goes nuts. And I really admire that. So with Evile, it's not even a change of sound. Like, one thing I find whenever we write songs, we always fall into the same tempos. And it's like, oh, we're in that tempo again. The song's 5 minutes again. And it's just, we're playing more with the tempos that we always miss out. And some of them are slower tempos and heavier stuff. So we're just experimenting. We're just having fun. We don't want to be tied down to like, we can't do that. But our opinion of our own music will not change. So we're not going to suddenly be like, let's get 7 strings and go, it's just, we're still going to be Evile. It's just, we're experimenting and we're well within our right to do that because we only write for ourselves. We don't pander. So we'll see.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Just staying true to what you. I think that's been one of the main takeaways. Oh, flies flying around in here now. For anyone that doesn't,
it's the one I hit.
Probably, yeah. Well, like I said, I have a wasp nest above my flat, and I was teaching a young kid earlier today, and then there's a wasp just like in my face. And I was kind of like I don't normally panic, but it was literally about to land on my nose, kind of. As I said that, actually, and I had to sort of look, and the kid looked very confused. I don't know if he'd seen it, and I was sort of like jittering. I was kind of like, I'm going to get rid of that quickly. So the wonders of 2 weeks of heat in Britain. That's what for anyone.
Oh God, yeah.
Can't even deal with. It always I feel like the world crashes in the UK when it goes above or below, 10 degrees beyond what we're used to.
It's too cold or too hot or too much snow. That's what halts the UK. Definitely the snow.
It's too bloody hot or it's too bloody cold.
Yeah.
Too much.
Or it's snowed too much.
Yeah. It's one of the snow is might as well be Armageddon. Yeah. I have no idea. I'm sure I was going to say something pretty. I'm sure I had something pretty important. I had a funny throw. This is gonna be like, here's our intermission with my. You can see that bloody thing flying around my head on the camera. Is there anyone listening to audio? They're gonna be fed up by now. I had a good. So this is gonna sort of get us back into the serious elements of the podcast. If you had to pick the best Slayer lyric for parenting advice, what would you pick?
Wait, what's that one in Dead Skin Mask?
What's that one in that one about killing people?
Yeah, that's a ridiculous question. No, I was going to say the first line to Angel of Death, but that's really bad. I can't answer that.
I'll look it up. Anyone listening can easily figure that out.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's your answer? Oh, okay. Well, that's as good as saying it. You might as well.
Well, it would be Auschwitz, the meaning of pain, the way that I want you to die. That is not good parenting.
See you later, kids.
Nearby.
Yeah, possibly not the not the best. Yeah, I mean it's a very immediate upbringing into the real world, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, but funnily enough, because I like silliness aside, I was again sort of looking into your background, and again part of Wikipedia, so you're welcome to correct it if so. But it seemed like, so when you initially left the band, left Evile, that it was that you had a change of priorities, is the impression I got from that, with parenting being part of that. Hopefully with no influence from Slayer. But I think the thing that I always, and this is another thing that I said in the podcast recently, was I spoke to Josh Middleton recently. I don't know if you saw Silosis playing. Indeed, I don't know if you saw Silosis played Birmingham, and that's where I'm at the moment. So I bumped into him, and we were talking, and he mentioned about going on a tour. I hope this isn't a spoiler, and about how he was like, it was a long tour, and he was but he was like, oh, I'm going to be away from the kids, you know, and all that. And in my head, like, yeah, I'm young, I don't have any kids, and I don't have a huge amount tying me down. My girlfriend's going to hate me for saying that. And so when I hear, someone said to me, like, 5-week tour in the US, I'd be like, whoa, yes.
Yeah.
But it's funny how your priorities change, I guess. And what was your kind of, is that kind of nail on the head, or is that about roughly what kind of...
Yes, but no, because like you just said, we did so much touring. We did 5 months in America. We did like 170 shows or something, I can't remember, in 1 year. And it was great. I don't remember a lot of it. But then it was just, there was no thought to it. It was like, yeah, of course. Like, I was single, nothing tied me down, and Evile was my focus. So it was get a job, quit, go on tour, look for another job, quit, repeat. And then I don't know, I hit a certain age where we were doing things, and there was not really any money, and we were just doing it to like break even. And I stopped enjoying it. And I think I thought about the fact that my friends who aren't in bands, who I'd speak to, would go through all these normal, like, I'd call them landmarks in life. So they'd get a mortgage on a house and do all these normal things, go on holidays and see their friends, and then have kids maybe. And I never did any of that because my focus was music. Like, I left school. Well, I kind of did music in school as well, but that's all I ever did. So I didn't think about how much money was coming in, where I was going to live, or anything like that. So it got to a point where I think we played in Taiwan. We had a festival in Taiwan. It was like 12,000 miles round trip. We were out for 5 days. I think we made like £20. And even though it was great to go to Taiwan and play, it was like, it doesn't add up. And I think I just got burned out, and I was just like, I just don't enjoy it anymore. And I got to that age where like I didn't like kids. Like, whenever I saw kids or heard kids, I was just like, but then one day I just switched. I was like, you know what? I'd really like to have a kid. And like, I always wanted a little girl, and I just wanted a princess. So I'd see like a parent out with a little girl, and I'd started to feel like I really wanted a kid. So it just got to that point, and we eventually did have a kid. And then, yeah, had another.
So was the sort of having kids, did that desire to sort of build a family come before or after leaving the band, do you think, or was it kind of somewhere in the middle?
It was kind of as leaving, but we didn't have a family. But afterwards, when I was out of Evile and not in the music world, it was like, right, I can do normal life things now. I can get a job that I can stay in and get a structure and everything. So it just started to make more sense to have a family and do that kind of thing. So without music in the way, not in the way, but it just made sense, and I really wanted to do it.
Yeah, and did you ever look? Were there ever times in that where you would kind of obviously look at like sort of the I guess the what do they call sort of the road not taken, or the path that obviously there's at some point in that it might not have been as dramatic as a one day where you have to decide to do music or not, but kind of deciding where your life's going in that. But I'm almost asking almost for advice to myself, because it's like, I'm sure I'll come across these this sort of point in my life where I'm trying to pursue music, but there might come a point where I've got to decide, like, to some degree, do I want to build these other elements into my life, but were there ever times where you thought, I should have just gone all out for the music and that? Or I mean, obviously it sounds from what I can tell that you're very happy, but were there ever times where you thought, or are there ever times where you think, I'd love to have just pursued that just to see what happens,
Yeah, slightly. I think because when I left Evile, this isn't me bad-mouthing Evile, but nothing really happened after I left. So a part of me is like, what would have happened if I'd have stayed and kept pushing and building? But even when out of Evile, I had moments where I did think like, I do miss it. I do miss doing it. But I think it was kind of helped by the fact that Evile didn't do much. So if they carried on and built more, did albums and toured and stuff, I would have been like, I wish I was doing that. But luckily they didn't.
Didn't have to cross that bridge.
Yeah, so it just got to a point where things weren't working with Evile, with the guy who replaced me, and it just all lined up okay. That the kids were there, the family was okay, and I just came back, and that was it.
Yeah. Was there a moment at all? Because I could pinpoint the day, actually the moment. It was very much a straw that broke the camel's back, but I could pinpoint the moment, or like I said, maybe the day where I thought, nah, I think I'm going to leave the band. And I'd taken it really seriously to that point. Like I wanted to make a career of it, and I still want to make a career as a musician, but not in that band. And it was weirdly quite a little thing. I won't go into too much detail, but like it was quite a small thing that kind of, like I said, it's very much straw that broke the camel's back kind of moment, where it's like that moment in itself was not a catastrophic thing. I just, over time, and I think that's almost when that's maybe when the healthier changes in your life happen, is when just that little thing makes you go, like, that's not quite right, because then you're not making some drastic decision, it's a collection of things. Could you pinpoint any, like, even quite small moment where you thought, no, I'm going to change this now in life? Actually going to kind of to that, because there's obviously this leaving the band and then coming back. Can you think of any, sat on the train one day, or just like, where you had those kind of thoughts?
I think one of them was while we were in Taiwan. I had that thought of like, why am I here? Like, obviously it's great traveling and playing, but it was just a bit like how long can I do this for? To be fully honest, for no money. How long can I do it for free? Because most musicians do it for free. And other than that, it was just, how long can I keep going? Because all my time was and is Evile. So we tour, and as soon as I'm off the tour, I'm writing the next album. And all my time is engulfed by writing the music. So I'm always listening to it. I'm always rewriting, re-recording. And I think I'd done 4 albums from 2005 to 2012. And it was just like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. And I have no time to myself. I forget to eat. And it's just, I can't remember. I can't pinpoint it. I can pinpoint the feeling, but I can't pinpoint when it was. It was just like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Someone else take over and concentrate on writing and logistics and everything.
Yeah, and then going back as well, was there a moment in, I guess, more normal day-to-day life where you thought, maybe I want to... I know you said that kind of it felt like things were kind of put together a bit more maybe, but was there... Can you think of a moment or a time when you thought, where you thought, actually, I want to hop back on the wagon kind of thing?
It was actually by accident because I was talking to Matt, my brother, who was the singer at the time. We were talking. I was just saying, how was Evile going? And he said, well, Piers hasn't shown up for the past 6 rehearsals. And I was like, that sucks. And I just as a passing comment, I just joked if you need a lead guitarist, let me know. And as soon as I said that, I thought actually, yeah, why not? I can now. I can delegate my own time and probably fit it in. But I think I said something like, when it was all arranged, I said, I will come back under the condition that I don't do everything. I don't want to be writing everything and all that shit. And because of how I am with music and how obsessive I am, it slowly became that again. So, I mean, Joel's okay with it as the bassist. He's like, yeah, fine. Just if it sounds good, I'm happy to play it. Ben's the same. But Ben actually gets involved quite a lot. He has riffs and lyrics and stuff. Adam's a new guy. He's just happy to be playing. He's like, yeah. So it just came back to how it used to be. But I think I'm more equipped to do it now, even though it's rather selfishly, a lot of it is time that could be with family and stuff like that. So that's where it becomes more difficult now because I have to weigh it up with spending time with my kids and my better half. And yeah, I don't know how long I can keep doing this in the state of the industry. And yeah, it just got to with rejoining, I think because Matt has 3 kids and not a lot of time and a really good job, that it got to a point where he, I think, was in the same place that I was. And he just said, look, I can't do this anymore. So, yeah, we kind of both did the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I can totally see it. It's a weird one because I remember I started playing guitar when I was a kid, when I was sort of not young, but I think not young, but I think I was about 10 or 11, and I played for maybe a year, a couple of years max, I think. And then I quit for about, as you do when you're young, and if you aren't fully taken, you kind of just drop it, and I didn't pick it up again until I was about 18. And I could play some chords and stuff, and I knew a couple of my little scales and things, but that was kind of it. But I think weirdly, my passion for it was actually a little more present because of the fact I'd been away from it. Because obviously I could look at all that time and think, I could have, by the age of 18, I was quite good when I was young, when I was sort of 11, 12, I was quite good for how long I'd been playing. I kind of think, could I have just been this, ultra virtuoso shredder, all-in-one guitar player if I just played all the time? But then I think, what if I got to the age of 16, 17, and then maybe I would have got bored of it then, And it's one of those, I almost try just to not think about it. It's a bit like with the band, I chose to leave the band. I'm just I try not to think about what the other option looks like, because I think you end up, you're just a losing battle, really, isn't it? Regardless of how that other option might have gone.
You might drive yourself insane.
Yeah, but did you find a renewed passion above and beyond just having the time and the sort of just literally the sort of, basically the time, to put aside for it? Did you find did you feel more passionate about it than perhaps even the earlier times before you started to become a bit jaded with it? How does it compare, the feeling towards the band coming back in? And I'm not just saying comparing it to like when you wanted to leave, but I mean maybe a bit earlier to that, when things felt like exciting, you know?
I think it was not to like say it was bad, but it was kind of the same when it was good. So I still felt the same about the band as I did when I enjoyed it before. So it did kind of rejuvenate that. But coming back into it and Matt's situation, it didn't feel right. And when Matt did leave and we had the new lineup, that is when it rejuvenated a bit more. And that's of no detriment to Matt. It's just, it was like a kind of breath, it was a new breath of life into it. So that did make us all feel a bit different and more, I guess, because it's new, you know. And but I don't think, sorry to be like morbid or negative, but I've never felt like I did back when it was the original 4, because it was always supposed to be us 4. And I think we even said, like, if it's ever not us 4, like, we don't want to do it. But we'd got so deep into it when, like, the thing with Mike happened, that it's like Mike wouldn't have wanted us to just stop there. So we only carried on for Mike. And since then, again, not to be negative, I haven't felt the same as I did up to that point. So I still love it. I still really enjoy doing it. But it's never going to be the same, I think.
Yeah, I suppose it's about just embracing the fact that it doesn't sort of have to be as well, isn't it? Like, again, if you try and crave something that happened before and sort of it's again the same with me. I could say, well, I kind of crave that initial excitement of starting a band all over again, but it's like you kind of just gotta I guess just appreciate where you're at, haven't you? It's a weird it feels very coming from the wise old sage that I am at the age of 24. It's very, I always feel a little bit obnoxious saying stuff.
I do too. Yeah.
When I'm like, but do you ever stop? I don't know. Like, at what point there's always going to be someone a year older than you going, well, hang on a minute.
You're wrong.
Can you see yourself being, when you look at like the Stones or like some of these guys playing shows, right into very old age, even possibly to the detriment of their health. Could you see yourself playing shows up till that point?
I think so, yeah, but the only thing that will stop it is, to be fully honest, financial viability. So if it just becomes, if it makes no sense financially, we can't do it anymore. We all have families, we all have bills to pay. And if the amount of time that needs to be spent on doing it does not weigh up to the return from doing it, it's impossible to do, because it just doesn't make sense. And that's why initially I left, because the comfort of having a wage from a job, you don't have that in music. Especially when you're like starting out and everything, or getting up the ladder. So we would love to always do it and do it until we die, but it's just wishful thinking at this moment. I hope we can. I really do. I hope the fans continue to support us. I hope we can grow and get to that point, because the problem Evile has had, we've got up the ladder, but we've always got to a certain rung of the ladder where we need to be that bit further up to make it make sense for us to do. So I really hope like this next album really, really does things for us and helps us get up that bit more.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, a little podcast appearance can help that even to the slightest degree. I hope. There's a couple of just a couple of little things. I'm gonna have to ask you about the Pooh song.
Right.
I mean, that's just the question. Like,
in my defense, I was, how old would I have been? I can't remember, but maybe I was 15 or something. And it was at a time that I was heavily into learning guitar. So I was learning all the Annihilator stuff and just having fun. And I used to play this clean riff at like rehearsals and gigs that it made Ben really laugh. And it was just stupid and crap. So I thought, I'll write a song about it. And I literally wrote that in an afternoon or something. And then made the horrible video on YouTube in like a few hours. And it's followed me around ever since. But it was just a bit of fun. But now in hindsight, like 20 plus years later or whatever, it's just like, why did I do this?
Well, I mean, everyone has the peaks in their career, and like,
that was mine.
It reminds me of have you heard Lawnmower Death?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that song Egg Sandwich. I think it's called Egg Sandwich. It's about 10 seconds long, and I'm pretty sure the lyrics are something along the lines of like, get some bread, get an egg, put it together. What have you got? Egg sandwich. I think those are the lyrics.
I'll have to listen to
I'm going to get fact checked. I'm going to have a content warning next to my.
Brilliant.
It sort of made me think of that. If that's if that's any.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to that. But yeah, I did quite a lot of like old comedy death metal, like had songs like "Flowers Are Lovely" and "Truck Forced to Death," a song about just a truck hitting someone. But yeah, it's just I got samples of like the sounds of a truck hitting someone and like screams, and that's just no.
That was the second peak of the career.
Yes, yeah.
Have you heard of the band Shrek Is Love?
No.
They're actually really good. Like really
Shrek
good.
Is in the character Shrek.
Yeah, as in Green Ogre. Yeah. Genuinely, they're all like really good. It's depressing. It's almost like I feel like musicians do this where they get really good, particularly like jazz musicians. They almost have to just take the piss. I don't know what it. Have you heard that like Jazz Against the Machine and all of these things?
No.
It wasn't Richard Cheese or something.
I know Richard Cheese.
Yeah. All of them, like, just I feel like they just get to a level where like I can't take this seriously anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just had to ask you about that.
It's a really easy riff. It's like, I think from the D string, it's an A major chord. It's a 7-6-5-5, but it's the exact same chord moved down a string. The 7-6-5-5. So it's like that augmented major.
Oh,
5. And that's it. And then it just moves up 2 frets to change key, and that's.
So it's like you had a key change. It's better than my songs.
In fact, there's a key change for the solo as well. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't know there was a solo.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Far in and thought I've got.
You didn't listen that far in. It's quite a good solo, actually. It's quite memorable.
Define memorable. I don't know.
You would sing it. You would whistle it if you heard it.
I mean, the power play would be to put a total shred fest, like,
Well, that's what I was going to. I remember, but it just didn't work. It needed like a plonky crap solo. And it worked.
There's one more thing I'm going to ask you. I'm going to stop referencing memes and shit now. But have you seen Steve Vai Shreds? The video of him. It's the 3-neck guitar.
No, but wait, is it the new one?
It's not that new, but
the Hydra guitar.
Oh no! Sorry.
I've not seen that.
It's a guy who has overdubbed quite cleverly Steve Vai playing a load of nonsense, basically, where he's...
I've seen some Shreds videos that are great, but I've not seen that one.
Yeah, like BB King and Malmsteen's funny. Like, as soon as it goes away from the fretboard, he'll shred some Malmsteen, and then it'll come. But yeah, I think Steve Vai is, obviously very virtuous. He's very.
It's very that.
But yeah, he's got this 3-neck guitar, and then the bottom one is obviously tuned to this lovely open tuning, and then he strums it, and the guy just overdubs it with like an open tune guitar, just going. It's the best thing. I'm gonna have to send you about 10 different.
Yeah, do send it.
But yeah, so now that it's devolved into nonsense, I'll have to get you to think of a question for the next guest to begin the conversation. We can go in any direction you like.
So, is Die Hard a Christmas film, and why?
And why?
Why yes or why not?
How many marks for that question? Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good question.
I think it is.
Yeah, but why?
Because it's not just set at Christmas, but it's a family film in the sense that he's returning to his estranged wife to spend Christmas Eve with them. He ends up saving Christmas. He becomes with his wife again, and then he can go and see his 2 kids for Christmas Day. That's Christmassy. There just happens to be a lot of violence in between.
The most metal Christmas you could possibly want.
Yeah.
Okay, I can accept that.
And it has Christmas music in it.
I feel like I haven't seen Die Hard in a long time now.
We watch it every Christmas.
I've got too long to wait.
Yeah, true.
It's sun. We've had our 2 weeks of sun now, so
Yeah, true.
And then also, so I need you to. I will. That's a good one. Let's just hope if the next person hasn't seen it, I'm just going to end the call.
Let me know who is your next interview so I can gauge what they'll say.
I'll have to let you know because the calendar's always jumping around, so it could be anyone.
Unless it's Bruce Willis because he doesn't think it's a Christmas film.
Yeah, I mean, in my metal thereabouts music podcast, if I could, to be fair, I would happily invite him on, but possibly. He might have other priorities. So if you could recommend an artist as well, or just like a music, I've broadened it to like music person, just like anyone involved in the music world. Obviously artist is probably the go-to, but
does that have to be a person or a band?
Either, just a band or a person or a collective.
I've mentioned them in this, but as a musician, one of the most interesting bands I've heard is a prog band called Gentle Giant. Now, a lot of their stuff is very, very, I won't say cringy, but if you're not used to prog, you will be like, what the fuck is this? But musically, they were so good, and every single song is unique. No 2 songs sound the same. And it's just, they had like everything from a xylophone player to fiddle but they'd all change instruments live as well. So they'd do all these songs, and then the bassist would go onto the trumpet, and then the xylophonist would play something. It was so good. And yeah, Gentle Giant. The album Octopus, I think Steven Wilson remastered it recently, actually. But yeah, if you like prog, check out Gentle Giant.
Nice one. That sounds good. And
if you don't check them out.
If you're not feeling that open-minded.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm interested, actually. I'll give them a listen. So if you have any last little things you want to sort of plug to the world, then feel free.
When I get back onto Twitch, it would be great if you could pop by my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/oldrake. I just take requests and chat, and that's about it. We just have a laugh. Other than that, Evile will have a new album out if everything goes to plan in early 2023. And it would be great if you could give it a listen. Maybe pick up a copy of the CD, the vinyl, because buying a physical product of a label released album means more than a lot of people think. Like, it's great going to a gig and buying the merch and all that. That pays for fuel and everything on the tour. But buying the physical product, I won't go into it, but helps a lot.
I think from that, hopefully people will take your word for it on that one. I think so. So yeah.
Good.
Thank you for talking, man. I've enjoyed it.
No, thanks for having me. It's been fun.